Do you expect food before you finish your work?
Mama, please, I'm so hungry.
Go and wash every dish.
If only Mama were still here.
That child has been working every day. Look at her.
This is not how a child should be treated. Hello, Samuel. Don't worry, everything is fine here. The girls are doing well.
What you have just witnessed was only the beginning. To everyone around her, it looked like an ordinary family. But behind the walls of that humble home was a painful secret that no one knew. This is the story of how one little girl's kindness was tested by cruelty, and how the truth would eventually change everything. The stepmother who hated her husband's daughter until her own evil destroyed her family. Some stories are so heartbreaking that even years later, people still speak about them in whispers. This is one of those stories. In a peaceful village surrounded by farmlands and dusty roads lived a hard-working man named Samuel. Everyone respected him because he was honest, humble, and always willing to help anyone in need. Samuel had only one child, a beautiful little girl named Amara. From the day she was born, Amara was the light of her parents' lives. Her mother loved her with all her heart and taught her to be kind, respectful, and grateful. But happiness did not last forever. One terrible afternoon, while returning home from the market, Amara's mother was involved in a fatal accident. She never made it home. The news spread through the village like wildfire. Neighbors gathered to comfort the grieving family, but nothing could ease the pain in little Amara's heart. She was only 6 years old. Every night, she cried herself to sleep, hoping her mother would walk through the door again. But she never did. Samuel loved his daughter deeply, but his work often kept him away from home for weeks at a time. He worried constantly about leaving such a young girl alone. After several years, friends and relatives encouraged him to marry again. "You need someone to help raise Amara," they told him. After much thought, Samuel remarried a woman named Grace. At first, Grace seemed caring. She smiled warmly whenever Samuel was around. She prepared meals for Amara. She spoke softly to her and acted like a loving mother. Samuel thanked God, believing his daughter had finally found someone who would care for her. But everything changed after Grace gave birth to her own daughter, Precious. The kindness disappeared almost overnight. The gentle smile became cold. The woman who had once called Amara my daughter now treated her like a body. From that day on, Amara became nothing more than a servant in her own home. Before the sun rose each morning, Grace would wake her with a loud knock on the door. "Amara, wake up! Fetch water before anyone else!" She swept the compound. She washed dirty clothes. She cleaned the kitchen. She scrubbed every plate after each meal. Only after finishing all the chores was she allowed to get ready for school. Many mornings she arrived late to class, exhausted and hungry. Whenever Samuel sent money home, he would call his wife and say, "Please make sure both girls have everything they need. Buy them books, uniforms, and enough food. They are both my children. Grace always answered with a smile. Don't worry, I will take good care of them. But the moment she ended the call, everything changed. She bought new textbooks, beautiful school bags, and polished shoes for Precious. Amara received nothing. She borrowed old books from classmates. She wore faded uniforms that had been patched several times. Sometimes she went to school with an empty stomach because Grace refused to give her breakfast. If Precious left her plate on the table after eating, Grace ordered Amara to wash it. If Amara failed to finish every chore before dinner, she was sent to bed hungry. Night after night, the little girl sat quietly outside the kitchen, tears rolling down her face as she listened to her stepmother and stepsister laughing inside the house. She never complained. She simply whispered the same prayer before sleeping. Mama, I miss you so much. Despite all the suffering, Amara never allowed hatred to fill her heart. She believed that the one thing no one could ever take away from her was her education. So every night, after everyone else had gone to bed, she studied by the dim light of a small kerosene lamp. She read until her eyes became heavy with sleep. She memorized every lesson. She worked harder than anyone else in her class. Months later, the examination results were announced. The entire school erupted in applause. Amara had come first in her class, once again. Her teachers praised her determination and intelligence. But when Grace heard the news, instead of celebrating, jealousy took over her heart. She looked at her own daughter, who had failed almost every subject, and anger burned inside her. She could not understand why the child she hated continued to succeed, while the child she loved continued to fail. That jealousy slowly grew into something dangerous. And before long, Grace made a decision that would destroy her family forever.
Jealousy that could not hide. Grace could not sleep that night. Each time she closed her eyes, she saw Amara's report card. First in her class. Once again. The more she thought about it, the more bitterness filled her heart. Why? She whispered to herself. Why is the child I don't want always the one everyone praises? She looked across the room at Precious, who slept peacefully, unaware of the storm growing inside her mother's heart. Grace loved her daughter dearly, but instead of helping Precious study harder, she allowed jealousy to control her heart. The following morning, the entire village was talking about Amara's success. Teachers praised her. Parents used her as an example for their own children. Even the village elders smiled whenever they saw her. Every word of praise felt like a sharp thorn in Grace's heart. When she returned home, she threw Amara's report card onto the table. So you think you're better than everyone else? She snapped. Amara lowered her head respectfully. I only study hard, Mama. Grace scoffed. Don't call me Mama. The little girl quietly stepped back, holding back her tears. That evening, Samuel called as usual. How are the girls? He asked. Grace forced a smile before answering. They are both doing well. Samuel laughed proudly. I heard Amara came first again. Tell her I'm proud of her. Gracie's smile disappeared the moment the call ended. She placed the phone on the table and stared silently at Amara's report card. Then she made up her mind. There must be a way, she whispered. The next afternoon, while Samuel was still away for work, Grace wrapped a dark shawl around her shoulders and quietly left the house. She walked far beyond the village, following a lonely footpath that disappeared into the thick forest. Hidden beneath ancient trees stood a small mud house that few people dared to visit. An elderly traditional healer lived there. People believed he possessed great wisdom. Some came seeking healing. Others came seeking answers they should never have asked. Grace knocked softly on the old wooden door. A calm voice answered from inside.
Come in. The old man looked at her for a long moment before speaking. I can see trouble in your heart. Grace hesitated before finally saying, My daughter keeps failing in school. The old man nodded gently. Then encourage her, teach her, pray for her. Grace shook her head impatiently. That isn't why I came. The room became silent. She leaned closer and lowered her voice. My husband's daughter is the clever one. I want my own daughter to become like her. The old man slowly looked into Grace's eyes. Then he sighed deeply. There are gifts that cannot be stolen. There are blessings that belong only to the one who earned them. Grace refused to listen. There must be something you can do. The old healer remained silent for several moments. Finally, he spoke. When jealousy becomes stronger than love, someone always pays the price. But Gracie's heart had already chosen its path, and she was willing to risk everything. Without realizing, the greatest danger was no longer Amara. It was the darkness growing inside her own heart.
Grace returned home that evening, but her heart was no longer peaceful. The words of the old healer kept repeating in her mind. There are gifts that cannot be stolen. When jealousy becomes stronger than love, someone always pays the price. But instead of listening, Grace became even more determined. She convinced herself that she was doing everything for Precious. Every mother wants the best for her child, she whispered. But deep inside, she knew the truth. She was not trying to help Precious become better. She was trying to take away what Amara had earned. Days passed, and Grace became colder toward Amara. The little girl continued studying. She continued helping in the house. She continued showing kindness, even when kindness was never shown to her. One evening, Samuel called home. "How are my daughters?" he asked. Grace quickly smiled. "They are fine." But Samuel noticed something different in her voice. "You sound worried. Is everything okay?" Grace looked toward Amara, who was quietly reading her books near the window. "Everything is perfect,"
she replied. But it was not perfect. Not anymore. A few weeks later, the final examination results were released. Once again, Amara achieved the highest marks in her class. The whole village celebrated her success. Children looked up to her. Teachers praised her discipline. But at home, Grace's heart became heavier. She looked at Precious's poor results and felt defeated. Instead of encouraging her daughter, she blamed Amara. Ever since that girl came into this house, everything has changed, Grace said bitterly. Precious looked at her mother with confusion. Mom, is Amara the reason I am failing? Grace did not answer, because deep inside, she knew the truth. Precious was not failing because of Amara. She was failing because Grace had spent more time comparing her to another child than helping her grow. One night, while everyone slept, Grace returned to the healer's home. This time, she was desperate. The old man looked at her and shook his head. You have returned. Grace lowered her eyes. I need your help. The old healer sighed. Did you come because you want wisdom? Or because you still want what belongs to someone else? Grace remained silent. Her silence gave him the answer. The old man looked away. A person who destroys another person's blessing may lose their own peace. But Grace was blinded by jealousy. I don't care what happens, she said. I only want my daughter to succeed. The old man looked at her sadly. Be careful what you ask for. Sometimes, the thing we chase is the very thing that destroys us. Grace left the healer's house that night, believing she had found the solution. But she did not know that the greatest punishment was
already beginning, not outside her home, but inside her own heart. And soon, everyone would discover the secret she had tried so hard to hide. And it happened sooner than Grace ever imagined. For years, the neighbors had watched everything in silence. They saw Amara wake before sunrise every morning. They saw her fetch water, sweep the compound, wash clothes, scrub dishes until her small hands became sore, then hurry to school while other children had already begun their lessons. They saw her wearing faded uniforms that had been patched again and again. They saw her borrowing books because she had none of her own. They saw her go to bed hungry on the nights Grace refused to feed her. Still, Amara never spoke badly about her stepmother. She simply endured. The neighbors hoped Grace would change, but she never did. One afternoon, an elderly neighbor finally made a decision. I can't remain silent anymore, she said. She picked up her phone and called Samuel. When Samuel answered, she spoke with a trembling voice. Please forgive me for waiting this long, but you need to know what has been happening to your daughter. At first, Samuel refused to believe it. My wife would never do such a thing, he replied. The elderly woman sighed. I wish I were wrong, but come home quietly. See everything with your own eyes.
Samuel ended the call with a heavy heart. The following morning, he left work without telling anyone. When he arrived home, he did not announce himself. Instead, he stood quietly outside the compound. What he saw broke his heart. Amara was washing a large pile of dirty dishes. Sweat
Only
covered
Mama
her
was
face.
still here.
Her school uniform
That
was
child has
old
been working
and
every
worn.
day. Look at her. This is not how
Nearby,
a child should
Precious
be
sat
treated.
comfortably eating while Grace watched from the veranda. Then Samuel heard Grace speak. Amara, when you finish those dishes, wash the clothes too. And don't even think about eating until every chore is done. Amara quietly lowered her head. Yes, Mama. There was no anger in her voice. Only exhaustion. Only sadness. Tears filled Samuel's eyes. Everything the neighbor had told him was true. He slowly walked into the compound. The sound of his footsteps made everyone turn around. Grace's smile disappeared instantly. Samuel, you're home? Samuel looked at her without saying a word. Then he turned toward Amara. My daughter, come here. Amara walked slowly toward her father. Samuel gently held her shoulders. His voice trembled. Why didn't you tell me? Amara lowered her eyes.
I didn't want you to worry. I thought if I kept praying, one day things would change. Samuel could no longer hold back his tears. He pulled Amara into a tight embrace. For the first time in many years, the little girl cried freely in her father's arms. Not because she was afraid, but because someone had finally seen her pain. Samuel slowly stood and faced Grace. I trusted you. I believed you would love my daughter as your own. But instead, you turned her into a servant. Grace opened her mouth to defend herself, but no words came out. Every excuse disappeared. Even Precious lowered her head. She looked at Amara with tears in her eyes. I'm sorry, she whispered. I never knew how much you were suffering. Amara gently smiled. She took Precious's hand. It was never your fault. At that moment, Grace finally understood what jealousy had done. She had spent years trying to pull one child down instead of lifting her own child up. And in doing so, she had nearly destroyed her own family. With tears running down her face, she fell to her knees. Amara, I'm sorry. I have treated you unfairly. I allowed jealousy to blind me. Please forgive me. The compound became completely silent. After a long moment, Amara stepped forward. She gently helped Grace to her feet. My mother taught me that forgiveness is stronger than hatred. I forgive you. Grace broke down in tears. Samuel placed one hand on Amara's shoulder and the other on Precious's. From today, there will be no more favorites, no more hatred, no more injustice. You are both my daughters.
And you will both be loved equally. From that day forward, things slowly began to change. Grace worked hard to rebuild the trust she had broken. She treated both girls with fairness. She encouraged Precious to study instead of comparing her to Amara. Little by little, peace returned to the home. Years later, Amara graduated with distinction. She became a respected teacher, inspiring children never to give up, no matter how difficult life became. Precious also grew into a hard-working young woman. She learned that true success is never taken from someone else. It is earned through patience, discipline, and determination. As for Grace, she never forgot the painful lesson that changed her life. She often told parents in the community, "Never let jealousy enter your heart. When you compare children, everyone loses. But when you love them equally, they all have the chance to shine." And from that day on, whenever people spoke about Amara's story, they remembered one simple truth: another person's light can never dim yours. Kindness will always outshine cruelty, and the love we give our children will shape the people they become. The end.
Oh, Amara, the wind carries your prayer to the mother who isn't there. A whisper in the dark, a tear in